Hi, I'm Steven Iwersen. I want to welcome you to a conversation about leadership matters. Specifically, in this episode, I wanted to talk with you about the power of a vision in the hands of a good leader and the destructive power of a leader who doesn't stay focused on the vision. Now, let me give you some context as to why I wanted to talk to you about this. I was returning from an event that I spoke at, and on the plane got involved in a conversation with a young leader, a very talented young man, very articulate. And he talked to me about the exciting things that were going on in his life and his own leadership and professional development. And then he shifted in the conversation and expressed to me some really deeply held frustrations that he was currently having with the owner of his company. And this is pretty much the story that he told me. About 8 years before he and I met, he was hired by the business owner to begin to help build a business and a service to customers that nobody else was doing in the marketplace. And it was a grand vision, and he loved the idea, and so he began to really invest himself in that. And it worked. Customers began to discover that they were getting great results and outcomes because of the services that were being provided. They began to tell other people about it, which then led to more business. And eventually they had to hire on more staff. This young guy was moved into a management role, and it continued to grow. And it grew really well for 6 years. And then at about that 6th year mark, the owner walked in and said, "I have something else I want us to do." And he began to paint a new picture, a new vision, that was a completely new direction than what anybody else had really understood. In fact, it really didn't complement their current business. The employees expressed their concerns, but the boss wasn't interested in hearing what they had to say. He was convinced this is what they were supposed to do. And so he began to retool the business and expect others in the organization to shift their responsibilities to do something different. And that led to poor customer service, customers who were unhappy and began to leave. The financial decline began to impact. They had to let some people go. And some of the very best talent decided, man, I'm done. That's not what I signed up for, and they left. And here we were 2 years after the fact on the plane talking about this and how desperate this loyal young leader was to try to do the right thing, but couldn't quite figure out what to do next. He stopped and he looked at me and he spoke a metaphor that just I thought was so funny and yet typifies for most of us how we feel when things like this happen. He looked at me and he said, "Would it make sense to start an ice cream store, have the world's most amazing ice cream recipe, begin to develop that business out, build a clientele that was so excited about your ice cream that they began to tell other people about it, that people would line up outside the door for hours just to get your ice cream, and then one day have the owner walk in and say, 'Lock up the freezer, stop making ice cream. From this day forward, we are going to be a spinach salad only restaurant.'" I looked at him and said, "No, that wouldn't make any sense at all." And he said, "That's how it feels. And I don't know what to do." Now, you know what? There's a lot of us who've been through that, where we've signed on for something and given our very best talents to achieve that unique purpose, only to have somebody change the directions. And we lose our morale, we lose our customers, but we also lose trust. So I want to ask you, have you stopped selling the ice cream? Have you shifted to spinach salad only? Let me just address two things. One for leaders and one for those of you who are watching this video who aren't leaders, but you're on the team. Let me address the leaders first. Leaders, don't change the direction. Not like that. If there's something else in mind that you want to do, then go ahead and begin to build that out, but don't expect everybody else to just jump ship or lock up the freezers to start chopping salad. So here's a couple of things that I'd like you to consider. Number one, get really clear about your vision. Can you articulate your preferred direction that you have for the people that work with you? Can you express it in a way that it still excites you and it excites the employees that are working with you? If you can't do that, you need to come back to the drawing table and really focus on what is that vision about? Why are we doing what we're doing? And find a new way to articulate it. And here's what I've learned. You've got to be talking about it consistently. Maybe not day after day after day, but about every other week, you need to be revisiting the power of your vision and why you do what you do. Second tip I want you to consider. Listen to your best employees. Listen to them for two reasons. One, when you're clear about the vision, and you stay focused on that vision, they will begin to bring ideas to you on how to fulfill that vision. Listen to them. But they will also be the people who notice things that aren't quite in alignment. They are the red flags, the voices that speak up. They'll come and they'll offer ideas, their concerns. Give careful consideration to them. And the third thing I want to encourage you to do is to teach and train your leaders to be decision makers. You see, you're deciding the direction, but they're deciding the methodology, the tactics of how to achieve that direction. And if they don't feel like they know how to make the decisions or they have the permission to make the decisions, you're going to lock that talent up and there's going to be some frustration there. So teach them how to make good decisions, especially decisions that are aligned to the vision, and then let them make those decisions. And trust their judgment to make sure that it focuses and leads closer and closer to the fulfillment of what's right. That's for our leaders. If you're a team member and you don't feel like you have a say and you're not the leader, a couple of quick tips for you when you feel like the vision is getting cloudy or there's a complete new shift to salad. Number one, promote your vision publicly. You signed on for something that you love, something that's important to you. Make sure that you're talking about it frequently, that you're praising it in public. Talk about it with coworkers, in front of customers, making sure that you're discussing how important that vision is. Promote it publicly. But when you begin to feel like things are getting a little cloudy, the second tip is to address your concerns privately. Go to the decision makers, go to the boss, and just begin to address those things, but do it early, not too late. And I know it's a little intimidating sometimes to do that, so I've got a strategy or a methodology I hope that will help you to have that conversation. I call it the VIP method. Here's how it works. V is vision. Start by talking about how important that vision is and why you believe in the vision. Then shift over to I, which is insights or observations you've had recently that cause you a little concern. Just very briefly talk about those insights or observations. So V, vision, I, insights, and then P. And you want to get to the P pretty quickly, and that is plan. Start to talk with them about a plan that you have or some ideas of how you can get things realigned to the big picture. I know sometimes that's even hard to do, so let me give you another pattern in which you can use to present your plan. Say this phrase, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do this, and this would be the tactic or your idea in order to achieve that. I'd like to do this in order to achieve that. And the that is always directly related to the vision. I'd like to do this in order to achieve that. And now you're selling the vision again. So if you're a leader, stay focused on the vision, listen to the people who are on your team, and teach people to make good decisions. If you are on the team, promote it publicly and then address it privately when you have concerns. Well, I want to encourage you to keep focused and don't stop selling the ice cream.